Welcome back to Seen It Before, where we are probably going to say something stupid about your favorite movie because we've seen it all before. I'm Danny.
I'm Dan, and again, I have nothing stupid to say, but like...
Good.
Yeah.
It's very hurtful.
We're doing...
You really shouldn't do that.
The only thing we're going to do today is... We're watching The Lion King, baby.
We are watching The
Lion King. We got a special guest who has done the most research that we've had for a guest ever on this podcast.
Yeah. More than me. He's done way more research than me.
Let's bring in Paul. So,
hello.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your first time on.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, this is going to be wild because we've talked about this a little bit on some of the stuff you're going to bring up.
Yep.
And tell us exactly what you watched in preparation for this.
So, it had been a long time since I had watched The Lion King, probably about 10 or 15 years. I know I saw it originally in theaters. Yes, I'm that old. What the heck is it? So I rewatched, was it The Lion King a couple of times. Then I also watched Lion King 2 and 3, a.k.a. Lion King 1.5.
Right.
And then I also rewatched the live action new movie.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I also watched the first episode of The Lion Guard, which I believe came out in 2015.
Okay, I never even heard of that.
I never heard of Lion Guard either. So
Apparently, it's about Simba's, not his first child, which is his daughter. It's his second child, which is his son.
Okay.
But that we can come back to that later.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in just a little bit. We're talking about lions. We're talking about more lions.
we're talking about lions.
That's right. I remember.
Between the lions.
No tigers or bears.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You didn't want to watch the live action.
I wanted to, and
no,
then
you
just
didn't.
like,
You're just like, I don't want to watch it, and then you were literally like, I don't want to watch
well,
it.
I heard it was bad. So
I will say this. When I saw it originally in theaters, I was so nostalgic from the original one, I didn't really give it that much of a chance. So I am glad that I went back and rewatched it. It was better the second time. That being said, I still didn't love it, but I kind of like, picture it as like kind of like a multiverse thing, seeing as how that's so popular.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it just, it happens a little bit differently.
Great. But let's go back to the beginning of all this Lion King nonsense. The 1994 animated movie, my favorite Disney animated movie. All right, we're back. So we got lions, tigers, and no
that's
bears.
this Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, no bears.
No bears.
Yeah,
No
bears and tigers, well, at least bears I don't think are in Africa.
Speaking of underrated Disney movies, just take a quick sidebar here. Brother Bear, that's underrated. You ever seen Brother Bear?
I don't think that's Disney.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure it's DreamWorks, isn't it?
Is it?
I'm not sure offhand. I suppose I could look it up
it might
real
be.
quick.
You're right.
I'm not sure though.
But either way, I will admit I have not seen that either. I've seen clips. It looks very good, but
Yeah.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, well, it's just as heartbreaking in the beginning as Lion King is with Mufasa's death. They have the big brother's death in that movie, and it traumatized me also as a kid. So
Yes.
Yeah, it's got that Lion King syndrome or Hamlet syndrome that in the movie. We'll get to that a little bit later, but let's talk about the beginning of this movie.
Okay.
Starting off right. The sun, the song.
Yeah, the sun, the song.
The circle of life.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
Which basically tells that everything is connected.
Yes.
That you need to there's also talks about basically symbolism of supply and demand, and also the fact that eventually we're all going to die.
Yes.
It's very
exactly. It's a very intriguing way of looking at this.
Well, that's the circle of life. You get born, and then you do stuff, and then you die, and then you're kind of like, then nature grows out of your decaying corpse.
All right, Danny. Hakuna Matata, calm down. All right. It means no worries. So, for the rest of your days.
Until I'm dying.
Until you're dying.
Until I die, then I'm reborn.
Exactly.
That's the circle of life.
That is the circle of life. Yeah, so James Earl Jones, right off the bat, as Mufasa.
Oh, yes.
Iconic.
Because, you got, him as, from CNN, so many other things. For instance, I didn't realize until I started doing my research that, him as the king, and I forget the name of the voice actress who did his mother. Hold on a second. I think I have it up here. Well, I'll come back to that later. But what the heck was it? They actually were both king and queen already in another movie.
In Coming to America, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I remember that.
1988. That is a great Eddie Murphy film.
Yeah.
Where Eddie Murphy plays multiple characters.
I've
well, that's
seen
like his
scenes
thing.
from it,
Yeah.
But yeah, I know. I didn't realize that because like I wanted to see if, seeing as how he played Mufasa in the original movie and he played Mufasa in the live action movie, if the voice actor was the same for the Queen. It wasn't, but I was just like, oh wait, she was in Coming to America. This is awesome.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm sorry. Continue.
Oh, you're good. James Earl Jones. It's got a stacked cast. Honestly,
yes.
We got.
I mean, the iconic like '90s people, like like Matthew Broderick coming off of Ferris Bueller, Jonathan Taylor Thomas coming off of Home Improvement.
Well, not coming off of Home Improvement. He was still
like in the middle
of doing Home Improvement, which that has actually a story to it, but we'll come back to that.
Okay. Frank Welker, he's the guy who does the stuff. In the things.
He does. So he does all the lion sounds for this movie. He's such a good voice actor. He can just make all these sounds.
Oh yeah.
So all those roars were like from him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He does a lot of the animal work, especially during the '90s. Like I think he might have done was it Abu or something like that. I'm not sure.
I think he did most of the animal sounds probably.
But yeah, no, he does a lot of the animal sounds. So yeah, that was something that I read up on, is the fact that like none of the roars were any animals. They were all him. You're absolutely correct.
That's interesting. Well, cause, the only other guy that I know can do that is D. Bradley Baker.
Yeah,
because he played the clones in all the Clone Wars, and then he also did what else did he do? He played Appa and Momo in Avatar.
Dude, he's in so much stuff. There's too much to see.
Yeah, he's kind of like other than John DiMaggio and Billy West, those are like the kind of big voice actors that I know.
Funny you bring up John DiMaggio, because like when I was watching the movie yesterday, there was kind of a John DiMaggio moment at the very end. Because if you don't mind me bringing this up right now, what the heck was it? So as you remember, was it Mufasa is just like, you need to remember your heritage. You need to remember, what it means to have this responsibility to be the king. Especially when he's talking to him from, beyond the grave in the clouds. Well, at the very end, the last word that's spoken by anyone, it's Mufasa in the clouds. He's like, remember.
Yeah.
And like that kind of made me feel like a Bender moment of like, remember me.
That was fucking great. Yeah. I mean, yeah, well, like that whole scene with him in the clouds is like, that's like the turning point for Simba, because he's like, I need to go back, remember my heritage and stuff.
We need to go back.
We need to go back, Kate. Yeah. But the reason that I remember that scene more is because I fell down this like Disney like conspiracy hole on the internet a while ago, and they said how they were like leaking or like imbuing like sexual like innuendos in children's movies. And when Simba kind of like lays down and like all the dust particles kind of go up in the air, some people say it spells sex.
It does.
I heard there was SFX though for sound effects or special effects or something like that.
Perhaps
It's very thin line there.
Like, I mean, I was wondering that myself, seeing as how, I watched it originally, A in theaters, B on VHS.
Yeah, we got the VHS right here.
Well, Timon and Pumbaa is wild. But
that's the animated series, which is I find a bit like a cross between Looney Tunes and Ren and Stimpy. Very like 90s cartoon.
Okay.
But what the heck was it? I'm sorry. What were we talking?
Talk about the sex.
Yes. So
talk about the sex.
So what the heck was it? I was wondering if on Disney Plus does it still say that? Maybe they edited it out. And I went back and like I had to freeze frame it. It's still there.
Yeah. Perfect. Wow.
Perfect. Can't erase the past, Disney.
Oh yeah, very true. But I mean, you got to think about it, like not necessarily with that, but with like I know there's a decent amount of adult humor hidden in Disney movies, because I mean, you really got to give something for the parents who are watching this with their children. Something to laugh at, because yes, they might see it one time in theaters, but then when they come home, like I cannot tell you how many of my friends who have kids are like, I don't want to watch Frozen anymore because I've watched it 60 times a day with my child.
Yeah, they kind of dumbed it down in a way, just doing it for the kids only now.
Yes.
And now so like, but yeah, there's another egregious example of that stuff where, because like the Little Mermaid had like the was it the pastor, the priest with like, it looks like he has a boner.
He had a little chubby.
Yeah, and then they got rid of it later.
Woody.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of different examples about that weird, weird
especially in this
stuff
movie too.
Like when you just brought up the Little Mermaid, it just if we're quickly going off on that. I have the original what the heck is it? The giant plastic shell case of that, and on there on the giant castle from what the heck is it? I forget the name of it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
there is a penis on the castle.
Yeah,
which they edited out, which is no longer there for currently. But if you have the original VHS tape, you can still see the cock.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I don't know what was going on. Walt Disney.
There's some wild things over there in Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, getting back to the Lion King.
Back to the Lion King. All right. So Simba goes out with Nala for this little adventure. And Zazu. And it was kind of Zazu's a dick. Yeah. I don't care what anyone says. Zazu's a dick.
He's a C-3PO of this movie. He's just like annoying, and like I do not like Zazu at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Voiced by Rowan. How was it?
Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah,
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean.
Yeah. So they get to the hyena place. They do this song to like mess with Zaz or whatever, and they lose him or whatever.
It's like, talk about overkill though.
It was like so overkill.
You're like, you have an entire dance number just to get away from Zazu.
Can't wait to be king. Well, you're gonna get what you wish for, Simba.
Yeah, well, it made me. This is the first time I actually thought about it. Like, Simba's so eager to be king. He's like, I don't think he processes that like Mufasa has to die in order for him to succeed him.
One of the things I was wondering about: does Mufasa have to die? Could he just be old and retire instead of dying?
It's possible.
Maybe,
I'm pretty sure in medieval times, yes, you are absolutely right. Majority of the time, the predecessor had to, pass on first.
Yeah.
But I do believe that sometimes, it was other people like the prince or the queen or somebody took over if the person was too old and, febile or
like senile and stuff.
Senile, that's what I meant to say. But yes, I am wondering, did Mufasa have to die for him to take over?
I don't know. I'm the only type of succession I know is from the TV show Succession and Game of Thrones. So both of them rely on Walder Frey. He's 100 something years old and he refuses to get off the throne. So
I think considering it's a G movie and there's not much lore behind this movie, I don't know. Well, I don't know how deep they go in 2 or 1.5 or even the shows. Do they?
Well, I don't think they dive into that topic.
Well, no. Yeah, okay. But I will admit, it did make sense for a Disney movie, because I'm not sure if you guys have ever noticed, but in Disney movies, the parents don't really seem to live.
No.
9 times out of 10, it's either both of them have already died or one of them is going to die in the film or something. If you're a parent in a Disney movie, watch out.
I thought of 5 different examples right when you said that.
It's a nexus point.
Yeah.
It's the point that pushes them to who they're meant to be.
Yeah.
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 So,
very true.
So this
inciting incident.
This isn't related. It's not related to Lion King, but it's like the Disney kind of universe. But do you guys believe the theory that Tarzan is Elsa and Anna's brother? Because Elsa and Anna's parents leave on a voyage and then they disappear.
I've seen what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, I've read it where what the heck is they leave on a voyage, and you also see what the heck is it? Don't you see in Frozen, or maybe it's not Frozen, or the Rapunzel people?
They come into whatever it's called, Arendelle, right?
Yeah. And what the heck is it? Because there's also another theory where what the heck is it? From Frozen, the parents die and their ship goes underwater, and people are saying that's the ship that Ariel finds in the beginning of The Little Mermaid.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So it's all connected, but it's kind of like the Pixar theory where it's not confirmed, but people are like, it is.
That's all it is.
But yeah,
it would be cool if it gets confirmed, but. Again, I think Disney would have to go through all the research and all the movies and everything and stitch it together.
Yeah, there's
but that's what internet historians are for. So,
there's a lot of people out there.
There's a lot of people that do that because don't fuck with cats.
Oh yeah, that was a good
show. Yeah, that
was a great documentary.
And it's topical too because Lion King, cats.
There we go.
It's topical.
Alrighty.
Well, I'll tell a tale.
seen.
Don't Fuck with Cats.
No, I have
It's
not.
a documentary on Netflix.
It's a little graphic to get into a Lion King podcast, but a guy tortures cats and that goes on to killing people. So, and internet people figure it out. Basically, they try. They do the police's work. So
Okay.
yeah, it's really cool.
Interesting.
But Lion King. So at the hyena part, they meet the hyena
graveyard.
That was the that was a badass. Like the animation in this movie,
I was going for more metal than Hulk Hogan.
Well, I went for it, brother.
All right. Anyways,
it's 24-inch.
Sorry, continue.
But the scenery, though, and like the way that everything was kind of like animated and drawn, because this was hand drawn.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't 3D animated. And I actually remember one specific shot where they moved the camera from in back of Mufasa and Simba, and they kind of move it to in front of them. That was all hand drawn, and you can actually notice it's a little bit stuttery. But the atmosphere that they create in a lot of these scenes is great, especially in the Elephant Graveyard.
Especially for the B team of Disney.
Yeah, it was a B team because they were betting on Pocahontas to be the cash grab.
The next big movie.
Yep.
Yeah, and then
Animated movie.
They
gave them, like, as you say, the B team next to, maybe not next to nothing, but either way, that Pocahontas also had a very good voice casting as well.
Yes.
I know the only one that I can remember offhand is Mel Gibson as one of the leads.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, he played John whatever?
Yes, John Smith.
John Smith. Very basic name.
Yeah. But yeah, no, just the amount of people ended up loving The Lion King, which,
It's a timeless story.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can understand, especially with the story, because apparently from what I was reading online, this was Disney's first, what the heck was it? Original story that they had written, because everything else was, before that, was pretty much from fairy
Yeah, it's from
tales.
a book, right? Yeah, like Snow White, that was like the evil queen or whatever.
They went from fairy tales to Shakespeare.
Yeah, they based it off of Shakespeare.
Yeah,
So.
that was the thing that I ended up finding out. That was the thing that I ended up finding out was this was based off of like you were saying Shakespeare,
Hamlet,
with Hamlet and also Macbeth and Richard III. It was even had some elements of apparently the Bible in it from Moses and Joseph. That's what I was reading online.
Oh,
Interesting.
that is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely Cain and Abel I got from,
yeah.
Scar and Mufasa, right?
Huh.
Did I just make the wheels turn a little bit?
Yeah. I was really just betting on Hamlet there because
it is mostly Hamlet. That's
oh yeah, 100%.
a lot of stuff. A lot of stories use Hamlet as kind of a template. Like Sons of Anarchy did it, and then Northman recently.
Yeah.
But that they added in a Norse mythology twist to it. So
yeah, we're not gonna get into that because you haven't seen that yet. But
I haven't seen what now?
The Northman.
No, I have not seen that.
So yeah, we won't go too
Okay, we
deep
won't go
into
yet.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically redemption just with Vikings.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
but there's some twists in there. So I don't want to. Not like we're spoiling everything, but.
But going back to what you were saying about the Elephant Graveyard, I did notice in some of my research that they had to, what the heck was it? Change certain sizes of things. Like for instance, you remember when all three hyenas come out of one of the elephants or mastodon's head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would not happen in reality. There is no elephant that is that large for a hyena to come out of their eyeballs. Of the skull.
Yeah.
But it's so badass that they
It
do.
is.
You know?
I completely agree. But that would not happen in reality.
Yeah. That's why we got animation for it. You know?
That's true.
I mean, animals don't sing and talk, and
They don't.
I had no idea. Right? It blew my mind when I found that out.
Yeah. But yeah, talk about part one of traumatizing in this movie is this scene. This scene's little scarier for Disney movies, especially for a G rating.
Yeah, well, that's something that the kids' movies just kind of do. They always have a super scary scene for no reason.
Yeah.
And I can't think of other specific examples, but I just know it's a thing.
Well, it has to push the main character towards where they have to go, so I guess they do that. And so then we move on to the next scene. So Scar is
Scar with the Hitler dance.
Scar with the Hitler dance.
So I remember you had mentioned this to me. What the heck was it? About a month ago.
Yeah.
And I knew that was a thing, but as I said, it had been so long since I watched the film that I didn't really remember how intense it was. So when I was watching it for the first time in over a decade, I was like, whoa.
This is pretty blatant.
Shit.
They're really trying to drive it home, you know?
Because literally a volcanic eruption starts happening during the middle of the song. and starts lighting up certain things, and all of a sudden, the light looks like the tapestries that were used to be in the background of when he was giving public speeches, and also the marching, and also the lighting of the floor. And I was just like, wow, this looks a lot like Germany in the 1940s than I realized.
Even like the framing of because Scar up on his balcony is exactly like Triumph of the Will. So it's concerning, but
mildly concerning. Yeah.
I don't think you could do that today.
No.
Did they do it in the remake?
In a G movie, absolutely not.
Well, in the remake, they change up the wording of the song a little bit. And also, he literally just walks around the hyenas area of the elephant graveyard, and there's no volcanic eruption that's going on during the song. He does end up on the top of the pillar where you see the moon at the end of the song, just like the original, but it's not as animated, it's not as intense, and in my opinion, not as good.
Yeah.
Fair.
And I haven't seen the remake, but I can imagine it's just kind of more bland compared to the animated, because you can do so much with the animation. It's so stylized.
Theaters, so
yeah,
that was a mistake.
I saw Jungle Book. That was decent.
That was pretty good. Yeah. But I will say this: give the live action Lion King another chance. Okay. Because I will admit, me. I was the month leading up to this. I was like, I didn't like that movie. But now I'm like, you know what? It's
you went
still,
into
it's still decent.
Yeah, expecting what you're. Yeah. I get that.
So that's part 2 of traumatizing. Now on to part 3 of traumatizing. There's 3 scenes in a row.
Yeah,
the big one.
Yeah, well, just
the most traumatizing of them all.
Yes. Yeah. And they're back to back to back. So
yeah, just
was it where the antelope? What the heck is it? It was the antelope, right?
Yeah, wildebeest.
Or the wildebeest, excuse me, sorry. Which, by the way, I ended up finding out through my research that they ended up having to spend 3 years for that alone, to animate them running through the, was it the
canyon?
The canyon. And they actually ended up, Disney had to create a whole nother program to get it to work.
Wow. Yeah, because they had trouble with the randomization, right? And because I remember something like that, and because that was one of the first uses of CG or in a 2D animated movie, right? Maybe? Or something like that. I remember it kind of being a big thing, but and then the next year, Toy Story came out. Yeah, that was all 3D animation, so. Interesting.
It's true.
But yes, going back to the traumatizing thing that I watched as a child.
And what made you into the person you are today?
It built me.
Oh, there was lots more than that. But no. Yes, Simba finding his dead father in the middle of the canopy. And literally how was it? He first walks over, says, Dad, no response. Then pokes the dead body, then walks around yelling, trying to get help. Obviously no one's around, and the only thing he can think of to do is just like a lion cub, he then goes in and nuzzles against his father and just starts crying.
Mm-hmm. Simba, what have you done?
Yeah, it's.
And but the emotion on his face, I'm just oh dear God. And you've never seen that in any other Disney movie, the child with the dead parent. Mm-hmm. But going to what you just said, yes, Scar walks up and is like, Simba, what have you done? And now here's a question that I have. It's a what if.
Okay.
So, obviously Scar, tells him is oh, this is all your fault. The king is dead. It's all because of you. And he convinces him of that and tells him, to run away and never return. And what the heck was it? Immediately after that, after Simba runs away, the hyenas show up and Scar's just kill him.
Yeah.
Which that right there is brutal. Which what's the name of the guy who plays Scar?
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons. Which, by the way, they ended up loving the animation of his face so much that they put it some of the animations of Scar's face is Jeremy Irons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's supposed to resemble him in a way.
Okay.
So, but my question is, if Scar was just going to send the hyenas to kill him immediately anyways. Why didn't he just walk up and kill Simba himself when he saw that he was still alive?
Didn't want witnesses.
What witnesses?
Yeah.
If there's some
Mufasa?
around. Well, you never know if there were any other witnesses around, though. Like,
I suppose.
and plus, what's his face was there? The Zazu. He was just knocked out. But
That's true because Scar knocked him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, brings up another question.
Why didn't you just kill Zazu?
No. Like, what the heck was it? When Scar was, telling all these fibs to the lionesses when he came back and, like, everything, why didn't Zazu be like, hey, when I was about to, fly off and go get help, why did you knock me out?
Well, didn't he get trapped in, like, this bone cage or whatever?
No, that happens much later.
Was that
Yeah.
much later? Okay.
Yeah.
Literally, when he's like already king.
Literally, Zazu's like, hey, I should go back and get help. And then Scar just like slaps him with his paw. Zazu gets knocked into the rocks and just gets knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
But was he? So he was in that scene with the lionesses? I don't remember seeing him there.
Zazu was standing there next to, I think it's either Nala or the Queen. And that's when, like, you see all the hyenas come in where he's just like, lions and hyenas together.
But yeah, so that's kind of something I think Disney just might have overlooked.
I mean, it doesn't really take away from the story too much, but like, again, it's a kid's
It
movie.
is. I do know what you mean, but it is kind of like it could be a plot hole there.
Could be, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, but like it just shows how Scar is more of a like even worse because he he could have just killed Simba like we were saying like right after he meets up with Mufasa at the bottom of the canyon, but he's just like, no, you did this, like it was your fault. So he traumatizes him and guilts him.
Yep.
And then he decides to kill him. So he's like prolonging it, and then we have to have the hero get away somehow and stuff, but
Yeah, he gets away and just, he's just like dehydrated in the desert, just like passed the fuck out.
Yeah, which is like, damn, they go dark in this movie. And like, back to the Mufasa scene where he's like, so he saves Simba, and then Simba gets off to like a ledge or whatever,
yeah.
and then I had this thought watching the movie where like Mufasa, he's jumping up on the rocks and he's like trying to survive, and then Simba's like, Dad, and as I'm getting older watching this, I always saw, like when I was a kid, I always saw myself as Simba.
Yep.
But in that moment, I'm just starting to think like, oh no, I'm getting closer to being a father. So I'm thinking like, do I have the strength to like get my son out of that situation and then try to save myself? And it's like, I don't know, it just made it like a whole other dimension of like, just like craziness, And like, it just made me think like this movie is like a return on investment of like, catharsis, I guess. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Long live the king.
And then that epic line. It's just so epic. The way he delivers it, it can't be matched,
And did you know that actually Jeremy Irons wasn't the original person cast as Scar?
Oh, really?
Who was?
The first pick was Tim Curry.
That's right.
That would've been a good pick.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And
Would've
then
liked that.
the second pick, I forget his name offhand, but he was the guy in Clockwork Orange.
Oh, Malcolm McDowell?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That would have been maybe.
I still Jeremy Irons.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Money.
Oh, yes. He was wonderful as Scar. But yeah, he apparently wasn't the original one cast as Scar.
How did Chiwetel Ejiofor do with the live action one?
Pretty good. I will admit, not as great, but as I said, nothing will hold a candle to the original animated movie. Even though I will admit, I did still enjoy the live action. The only reason I keep putting quotations around that
Because there's not a single live person in there.
No.
So.
However, that being said, there is one scene literally about like at most 10 seconds long.
Yeah, probably not even.
It's in the very beginning of the movie where you see the sunrise before as they're starting the Circle of Life song. That's an actual shot in Africa.
It's the only shot.
Oh,
only
okay.
actual non-visual shot.
Otherwise, everything else is CGI, so it's still an animated movie.
Yes, just
Yeah.
updated.
Yeah, it's just realistic. But the whole purpose of that is just it takes away the what's it called, the spark, the reason that we watch the animated version, because otherwise you're just getting Hamlet with watch Hamlet instead.
No, I don't think so.
You don't like the dialogue.
He just doesn't want to pay those ticket prices.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have they done Hamlet recently? I know they've done a lot of Macbeths, but there was Michael Fassbender's, and then there was recently
I don't think
Denzel's.
I mean, The Northman.
The Northman, yeah.
That's about it. Also, one other thing I wanted to bring up in this is how many Pride Land puns there are in this movie. You remember watching this with me, and I was just going like, "Oh my god!"
No, you were laughing your ass off.
I was, but
you're just like, "Haha, good one. I'm gonna write that one down."
Yeah, yeah, that's actually more accurate. What I was doing. But in my head, I was like,
Oh yeah, no, there were a lot of
so many.
There were a lot of hidden jokes, even like when Zazu's giving the morning report, like he's talking about the elephants at one point. He's like, I tried to tell the elephants just to forget it and let it go, but they can't. And I was like, was that
before?
Never forget. I was just like that.
Oh,
the memory of the saying of elephants. An elephant always never.
never forgets. Yeah.
So. But yeah, no, I just
cool.
thought that was a little funny thing. But anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, I didn't write any specific ones down, but I was
my favorite one that I remember is he's Scar's like, sing me a song, and then he's like, it's a small world after.
Oh my god,
like, no, not that, anything but that.
Oh yeah,
I'm just like,
he ends up singing, I want to say about like 3 songs. I had it written down here because yes, you were right. The second one is It's a Small World After All, which Scar ends up hating.
Yeah.
And I
have a lovely bunch of coconuts.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Nobody knows the trouble. That's the first one.
Yes, because he's all stuck there in the little cage, made out of bones.
Yeah, it's like, ew, that's dark. But yeah,
and then he gets pissed off as soon as you mention Mufasa.
Yeah, don't mention that name, and like, I don't blame him. I mean,
he literally makes it against the law to mention his own brother's name in his presence.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a tyrannical king, why not? Yeah, you can do whatever you want, right?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
And it makes me wonder, why didn't the lionesses just beat the shit out of Scar?
They did at the end, sort of.
No, the hyenas did.
Well, I mean, they were
when they're fighting, yes, when they're in a big like war fight battle.
But it's like they probably have their suspicions, and like Zazu was left alive.
Yeah.
So there wasn't like any time in that. I don't even know how long time has passed between Simba being
they never really give us a time frame.
Let's just ballpark 10 years.
Yeah. So like, in 10 years, Zazu isn't able to mention to Nala or Simba's mom. I forgot her name. It's just like, hey, Scar might have killed Mufasa. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder.
No, that's a valid point.
I mean, it's a kids movie, so it's like I'm really looking at this critically, like that wouldn't make sense,
So they're walking through time. Sim's getting older, it's like that.
I like that.
Timon and Pumbaa are introduced.
Hakuna Matata song.
Hakuna Matata song.
Yeah, it's iconic, and I like that transition between what you were saying, like it goes from Simba and they're shaking their head,
back,
and then it turns into teenage Simba, and I'm just like. And then it goes to adult Simba. Yeah. And I would have loved to have seen something, or I'm not sure if they did something with this, but teenage Simba. I would have loved to seen like kind of like young adult Simba have an adventure. So funny
you mentioned that. They end up doing that in Lion King 1.5.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so I guess I got to go see that.
Because like literally, you just mentioned, Timon and Pumbaa, voiced by Nathan Lane and was it Ernie Sabella, I believe is how you pronounce his last name?
I think so.
Which, by the way, funny enough, Ernie Sabella is the only one who has done everything for Lion King. Like, he's literally been in every single thing.
Oh. What did you do in the live action?
Well, he didn't play Pumbaa.
I have to retract what I just said then. All right, he's been in everything but that.
There we go.
But yeah, no, he was the voice of Pumbaa like for years, and he even continued doing it now in the Lion Guard, which I mentioned earlier.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, no. Anyways, I love their slapstick comedy, which kind of reminded me a little bit of like Abbott and Costello, excuse me.
Yeah. I was trying to remember what that kind of like their duo reminded me of, and yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but what the heck was it? They go into a little bit in Lion King 1.5 as to like, they're like, rescuing Simba was the easy part. The next part was the more difficult part, parenthood.
Yeah.
Because like literally like, they find him when he's still just a child. So they're the ones who actually raise him.
Yep.
And they teach him Hakuna Matata.
Means no worry.
Which also you find out in Lion King 1.5, the person who taught them Hakuna Matata was Rafiki.
Oh, wow. You know, I was thinking that watching this, Rafiki almost seems kind of like a creeper because he doesn't interact with anyone except Simba for like 2 minutes.
Well, the only other part is, he interacts with Mufasa when he comes up, and holds Simba up.
He's the crazy wizard.
Oh, yeah. Okay, never
He's
mind.
the crazy wizard.
It's like, it's just, it's not said explicitly in the movie that like there's like a really good relationship. Like it doesn't feel like he's as connected to everything. He just seems like an outside narrator for most of the story until, except for the circle of life things, and then
listen, just think of him like, when you're watching a medieval story, there's always that crazy wizard guy that the king turns to, and that's Rafiki.
Yeah, okay. Well, he's not a jester, but like
No.
That reminds me of the Northmen. I'm not gonna say why,
there's
but-
like 3 of them in that.
Yeah.
But like, I thought it was very interesting because you just mentioned like, when Simba meets, Rafiki for the first time. Well, that he knows of, because he doesn't know that he met him when he was just a baby.
Right.
But like, I love it when like, the first words that Rafiki says to Simba is like, Asante sane watara squash banana, which apparently actually means what the heck was it? I think he says like, it means that you are a baboon and I am not. Which is what he says in the movie, although I did end up finding out that's not actually what it means.
Okay.
Translate, apparently it means thank you very much, squash banana.
Okay. That sounds like what a monkey would say, or a baboon.
But either way, like, how interesting is it? Like, those are the first words that he says to Simba, while also throwing a rock at him.
Yeah.
And now, mind you, it does go in the the little stream that Simba's looking at, and just hits his reflection. But still, like, he's saying, some weird, well, not weird, but some other language, excuse me. And what the heck is it? Is throwing rocks. But either way, they end up becoming friends, so it's all good.
Means no worries.
No, that's Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, well, actually,
That's also a great message, though. Like Hakuna Matata. That is like the whole message of this story. Don't let the past define you. I mean, become who you're meant to be.
True.
And coming into your own.
However,
Okay.
and nothing against Hakuna Matata.
Okay.
Nothing against it. But you have to, maybe agree that the lifestyle that they live, where they're just all, no worries. They kind of turn Simba into like a lounging hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's not really exactly what a king should be. At least I don't think so. That's just their philosophy.
Yep.
Yeah, make a lion on their side. Just make him just chill. It's
Well,
chill,
yeah.
bro.
So like it's almost it's weird because I can kind of like Timon and Pumbaa are kind of like neutral entities.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they serve themselves because, like you were saying, they use Simba as protection. Like, when Nala comes to attack Pumbaa, she's gonna eat me, and then
I told you he'd come in handy.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's like Simba is their bodyguard, and like so I wonder if like would they have made it without Simba?
Well, that's the other thing that I wanted to ask about is, apparently they have this paradise somewhere in Africa, like, a distance away from Pride Rock, that is supposedly predator-free, which is why they've been able to survive for so long. Okay. And they even go into this in, what the heck was it, Lion King 1.5. And I'm thinking to myself, where in the world in Africa is there a section that is predator-free?
Yeah.
yeah, maybe Egypt because of the desert. I don't know.
It's in the oasis.
I suppose that's where Simba was running through, I guess.
I guess. But that's all I got.
I don't know.
Here's the barren dune sea of desert.
I suppose, but I mean,
Sand.
everywhere. How could it be that like there's no predators anywhere and like Simba and Nala are the only first two to ever stumble upon it?
Yeah, I don't. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of Hey, that's my line. I'm sure there's a lot of just untapped areas in Africa. It's the largest landmass in the world.
Eurasia?
Oh yes, Eurasia's a thing. Yeah. Largest continent.
No, that's probably still Asia.
Okay. Anyway.
Don't.
I'm not a geography major, so like I don't know.
Anyway, yeah. So we get to "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?"
Yep, the Oscar
song that won them an Oscar.
Which, by the way, almost didn't make it into the film.
Really?
So apparently they decided to cut that out, and they had a pre-screening of it for like I guess certain members of Hollywood or something like that, or
The elites.
either way, one of the people who was there was Elton John, who did, some of the music for the movie.
Yes.
And when he saw that, that song had been edited out of the film, he's like, that needs to be put back in. Mm-hmm. And thank God he did, because like, think of how different the movie would be without that song.
I do like the whole like callback to like Simba and Nala's relationship. It's not a huge part of the movie, but it is kind of like a little bit of a through line from when he was a kid to when
they were
when he's
best
adult.
friends.
We also wouldn't have gotten the meme with the "fuck me" eyes. So.
Oh yeah.
Now, funny you bring that up, because that was something else that I noticed. Was like, she, during the song, they fall over, he's on top of her, and she gives him a little, lick on the cheek, which is basically, I guess,
wink,
like
wink.
in human terms, like that's a little kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
And then he's always like, huh? And he looks at her, and she's all like,
yeah, she's like, there's like there's a shot. It's like, she's like, yeah,
And I was just like, oh damn, she really wants him to Hakuna Matata. Now you have to think about this. He has been living on his own with his friends for like at least a decade, maybe even more.
Yeah.
So that was him busting his cherry.
Lions got needs.
So what the heck was it? Think about, what, if he did a good job. Well, obviously that's what happened, because, she wanted to be with him. Think about what would happen if he, didn't do a good job. She's like, you weren't that good. You know what? You don't need to come back to Pride Rock. It's okay.
We're fine with Scar,
We don't need you as king. Sorry. Jeez. Yikes. Another what if moment.
But also, it's hysterical. So I mentioned the fact that, I had watched the first episode of The Lion Guard. So what the heck was it? At one point when Simba is trying to tell something to his second son, he's like, oh, I need to tell you something. And he's like, yeah, Dad, I already know. You've already explained about Can I Feel the Love Tonight? And I just started bursting out laughing. I was like, wait, Can You Feel the Love Tonight is now sexual education?
That's like the sex talk.
That's great, actually.
They have an in-universe sex ed class.
For the Lions.
That's fantastic.
That's interesting.
It's kind of weird, but that's fantastic.
But, so it just makes me think. I don't think of "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" as like the most iconic song of. I think it's between "Hakuna Matata" or "Circle of Life."
Too bad those are both nominated as well, but they didn't win.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I think my favorite is probably "Circle of Life," just because it's like just hits the nail on the head. It just explains the theme of the story, and it's like,
man,
you're in good hands when you hear
Hakuna
it.
Matata, all the
Hakuna
way.
Matata,
all the way.
Which, by the way, speaking of Hakuna Matata, which there's a fourth wall break there.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. Like, was it?
Oh.
Well, he's just like, hey, not in front of the kids.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a fourth wall break.
There is.
Yeah.
Around that time, they had a lot of those. I mean, well, actually, no. Emperor's New Groove was like 10 years later, but still. That's the next time they really did it that I can think of.
Yep.
I think because it was the B team, they weren't really that supervised, and like they weren't expecting this to be the big hit that it was, so they had a little more creative freedom, and I'm glad that they did that, because in having less of a budget, being less supported always introduces better creativity, and like that's why 100%. I think this movie is just it's the classic. I agree with you. It's probably my favorite Disney movie.
Yeah, I think it's still my favorite right now. I haven't watched a lot of animated ones recently, so I'll have to go back and catch up on them. But
Aladdin's close.
We were talking about
I love Aladdin.
Yeah,
we were talking about other underrated ones earlier. Do you guys have any underrated animated Disney movies that you can think of that you really enjoy that not a lot of people? It's not really talked about a lot.
I didn't do my research, but I'm going to say Hercules.
Funny you bring that up, seeing as how there is a Lion King reference in the Hercules movie.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So what the heck is it? In the very beginning of the Lion King movie, Mufasa's like, Zazu, what am I going to do with Scar? And he's like, well, we could turn into him a throw rug, and when he gets dirty, we can just take him outside and beat him. And so then literally years later, when they do the Hercules movie, you remember when Hercules is, posing for, was it the portrait getting made of him?
Yeah.
Literally the throw rug lion that he's wearing on him is Scar.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
But
glad they did that.
I'd say probably like a one for myself, if I was going to name one that people don't really remember that much anymore, would be Three Caballeros with Donald Duck.
I don't.
Oh, wow, that's a deep cut. I don't.
That's an old one. That's probably from like the 1940s.
Huh. Yeah, there's one I've got, and it's Oliver and Company.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's very underrated.
Billy Joel.
1988, that one came out.
I haven't even seen it.
I just watched it because my grandparents had it, so I was like, yeah, I'll put this on. It's fantastic, actually. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Is that the one that has the sequel that's really rare to get a VHS copy?
I don't know about that.
I don't remember there being a
it's-
sequel to that movie.
I might be thinking of American Tail.
Oh yeah,
that another one?
that does have a sequel.
Yeah, something like that. But I remember because like the V8, like I did like me and my dad, we went to like a garage sale or something, and we found like these VHS tapes, and they're all like the classic Disney VHS tapes, and it has it's like a black diamond that says classics on it.
Yep.
And they're really valuable apparently to collectors if they're in good condition.
Oh, I know. I have some.
Oh, you do? Yeah. I have a couple, but like they're kind of not great condition, so I get maybe $20 for them. But I know that like American Tail 2, I think, is one that they barely produced in that classics genre. So it's like super rare. It's worth like thousands of dollars or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I might be wrong though. I don't know.
You very well could be, but
Going off the top of my head. So
yeah, that's fair.
And as we know, I don't remember anything. So.
No, you do not. But yeah, so now Rafiki introduced himself to Simba at this point, where we are, and brings him on this journey to go to the ancestral plane, I guess you would say, and sees his father in the clouds and all that stuff.
Very Black Panther.
Very Black Panther vibes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Black Panther definitely took inspiration from this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
I concur.
Yeah, that was a good scene. It just sets. He's like, oh, I have to go back. We have to go back. Yeah, so
You just have Jack like yelling.
Yeah, no, but yeah, so he gets back and then we get in the whole fight scene and everything. Yeah, a lot of hyenas.
Yeah,
A fuck ton of
played by
hyenas.
Whoopi Goldberg, someone else, and Ed.
Well, Ed was actually played by Jim Cummings, who also did the voice of Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, and he was also Winnie the Pooh.
That's also true. Yeah, he does a lot of voices for Disney animation, and also he's one of the only other ones who continued on throughout the what the heck was it? The lots of other stuff for Lion King other than the live action.
Yeah,
but
they cleaned house with that one.
Continuing on that, actually, I was very impressed to find out that Matthew Broderick actually continued to play Simba in both the first, the second, and the third. That usually never happens.
No, he's big name talent.
Oh yeah,
at least at the time.
Maybe he just had a free Saturday to do some voice work.
I'm also wondering if that was when him and Nathan Lane first met, seeing as how they ended up, doing the producers together.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know too much about Nathan Lane. I just know he was telling me Pepper in Modern Family, and
but
he's great.
He played Timon.
Yeah,
I was wondering, I didn't end up finding it out, but I was wondering if that's when they met.
It might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of like Hollywood relationships start off with if they're like a pair.
Yep.
They always start off in the most random possible place.
They call me Mr. Pig.
Which that was a wonderful reference to. Let's see. Shoot! I just closed it. But yeah, no. What the heck is it? There was a Taxi Driver reference right there in that scene, and also Mr. Tibbs, I think, is the correct reference there, because he calls himself Mr. Pig, but I think the original reference is Mr. Tibbs.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the parents who went and saw that originally in theaters must have been laughing hysterically. Obviously, because, their children aren't going to get it because those are both, I believe, R-rated films.
Yeah.
I would hope the children don't get it.
I don't remember the taxi driver just like, "Are you talking to me?"
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So, that's the taxi driver thing.
Yeah.
Which completely improvised, by the way, but.
Yeah. So at the end there, I know Dan and I were curious, but how did that fire start at the end? Was it lightning?
It was lightning.
It was lightning.
I figured because there's no other possible explanation other than a human.
Yeah, no, I think we just
Nope. Mowgli accidentally was running through on his way to fight, the tiger, and he accidentally
It's a crossover.
Rock. No, you're right. It was lightning.
I figured.
Perfect.
But yeah, well, that's another thing. Nature is kind of a character in this movie because that's circle of life, right? The sun is the beginning of the movie is the sun comes up.
Well,
and then
I'm kind of wondering, and sorry to cut you off, but I'm kind of wondering if a lot of the nature stuff that happens seems like it's either past kings, especially once Mufasa passes away. There's lots of certain things that happen with the wind. The only reason that Rafiki got some of Simba's hair was it falls off him, and then the wind carries it all the way to Rafiki, and I'm just like, that's Mufasa's spirit carrying his son's, hair all the way to Rafiki. So I'm kind of wondering if the lightning was Mufasa.
Oh, it could have been.
Very possible.
He's like, this isn't dramatic enough. We need to have a fire. But yeah, it's James Earl Jones crossover with Star Wars. It kind of reminds me of Force Ghosts, right? Because he's
a little bit, yeah.
Because they're helping guide the hero to their journey and stuff, so.
They can't outward say what they have to do, but
Simba,
they can push
I am your father.
That would be so great if they did that.
I am your father.
Well, yeah.
Come on. Anyway, Paul, you have a ton of notes. Is there anything else you want to bring up?
The only other thing I can think offhand, I mentioned to you about Jonathan Taylor Thomas with Home Improvement.
Yeah, tell me.
So at the time, he was still just a child, and he was working on Home Improvement. And if you go back and watch Home Improvement, there are at least a couple seasons where he's just gone. Because what ends up happening is he gets a taste of huge fame due to The Lion King. And so he tries to go off and do, other movies. Doesn't have a lot of success. Ends up going back to Home Improvement. But, it's really interesting because I will admit I did used to watch Home Improvement back in the day. Yeah. And you're wondering where's the second son? You're only seeing a couple of them, and then you end up finding out later that's why that happened. You've gone for the show for a little while.
I remember one of those movies was I'll Be Home for Christmas.
Yes,
that was a guilty pleasure of mine when I was because it would always be on around Christmas time and only on this Channel 4. And my grandmother, whenever I go over there, she only had very basic cable, 13 channels.
Yeah.
So the only one interesting one to watch was Channel 4. And they just kept playing that on a loop. And I just remember it made me scared to go to college because what happens is his dorm mates or whatever, he gets a Santa suit glued onto him throughout the entire movie. Okay. So he can't take off the Santa hat. So he's in the middle of Utah and the desert, and he's trying to get home for Christmas.
And this film actually made you scared to go to college?
Well, I don't want a Santa suit glued onto me. I don't want to fall asleep and then have Santa suit.
Well, to be fair, he was probably very young.
Well, yeah, it was 6 or 7.
Okay. Well, I'll let it slide.
I have irrational fears.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's just that, that's not something that I normally hear, but it's okay. It works. I
live to throw curveballs.
Yeah, tears for fears over here.
Wow.
Well, the only other thing I can think of, looking at my notes here, is let's go back to before Can You Feel the Love? Right after Nala has stopped chasing Pumbaa to eat him. There's a couple things that happen there that are actually kind of interesting. One, it's not necessarily a fourth wall break, but it kind of is, where Timon's okay, so you know her, she knows you, but she wants to eat him, and everybody's okay with this. Did I miss something? And Simba's just like, Timon, relax. It's like, Timon's trying to like put actual like, logic into the movie. And, Simba's like, knock it off.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
That's like him to me every time I start bringing up logical things. It's like, it's a movie. Suspend your disbelief. Suspend your belief. I'm just like, no, I can't. It's not how my fucking brain works.
Because plot.
Exactly.
It's most of the time it's because plot,
Yeah. And then the other thing you have to think about there is, she has thought that he has been dead this entire time. So like, think about it in her mind. Like, this is like getting your best friend back from the grave. Mm-hmm. That's intense.
Well, now you say that, she kind of underreacts then. She's like, "Oh, Simba, hey."
Does she underreact?
Does she
underreact, seeing as how they, Hakuna Matata only a few minutes later?
I guess so. I guess in the moment where she's just like, "Simba? Oh, cool."
Yeah, it's like disbelief. He's just like,
no,
not like, "Oh my God, Simba, like you're back."
Jumping up for joy and start hugging each other. What do you mean she underreacts?
I don't know. I think it's a little underreact.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
Suspend your belief. Okay.
Whenever I think about this movie, though, I always think about the ending after Scar is defeated and thrown to the hyenas. I always think about how epic it is when Simba is like making his slow climb up the Pride Rock, and it's just like the music and the rain and his expression
going to town.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm gonna claim my spot, and then he does the big roar at the end. It's awesome. And like, I would have been fine with the movie ending there, but Circle of Life has to play, to bring home the theme of the message. So that makes sense too.
It makes sense.
So, but yeah, I just think, other than Mufasa dying, when I think about this movie, I think about that the climb up to Pride Rock. And I think one of the most iconic shots. Maybe in Disney animation. I don't know.
All right, Paul. We're going to rate this movie now. Out of 100%, what do you give this movie?
98.
98.
Yeah.
That's pretty on par, honestly. I'm 94.
Okay.
94.
Like the year. I like it.
I didn't even think about that.
I'm going to go 95, split kind of in the middle.
It's another 5-star movie for us.
5-star movie. Yeah, this one, I mean, it's really hard to beat. I mean,
it is.
It's my favorite Disney movie. So.
Oh yeah.
Favorite animated Disney movie for sure. I haven't watched a ton of them, but like I've seen most of the big ones. Yeah. This one just takes the cake every time.
Yeah. I've watched way too many.
But yeah. All right. One last thing. Favorite scene. What's your favorite scene in this movie?
Oh, I'd like to go last, please.
Oh, okay. I'll go first. Okay. My favorite scene. Oh, you know what? I could be, very dreadful and just pick, when Mufasa dies, but I'm not going to do that. Getting real dark here. No, it's probably the whole from when Timon and Pumbaa find Simba in the desert to them growing up and everything. Just the whole montage.
Hakuna Matata montage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to be dark. I'm going to choose Mufasa's death.
Okay.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, there's even more dimension and character now that I'm watching it as older. So
100%.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with something that I mentioned earlier is just the when Simba runs away and the hyenas walk up and Scar's just like, kill him.
Yeah.
Like I know it's literally only a couple of seconds, but just like it's so intense, so brutal, and like only a couple words are said, but damn.
Yeah.
It's just done so well. Yeah.
Jeremy Irons acted the crap out of that.
Oh yes.
I love it.
Like I was saying, watching the movie with you, this movie's tight. There's not a single scene I think you could cut out of this movie without losing context.
Okay.
Maybe the jokes with Zazu.
the puns.
Yeah.
No, I think I would cut out a lot of the Nazi stuff.
I'd clean.
Cut it down a little.
I wouldn't cut that scene. I would change the
change it around
certain
a little.
materials.
I have to say, because I will admit that's my favorite song from the movie.
Oh yeah.
But yes, I definitely would agree. I would edit out all of the Nazi stuff,
Or at least edit it down a little. It's kind of a little.
Edit it out.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot.
But yeah, no. As I said earlier, I didn't realize how much of it was in there.
Yeah.
As I said, I hadn't watched it in over a decade. My jaw dropped.
Yeah, it's very not graphic, but like blatantly there
in your face.
Yeah, so
Very in your face.
for a kids movie. Damn, but
Listen, they wanted to teach history apparently with lions.
Yeah.
I didn't know Africa had a, had a Polish invasion.
All right. Well, I think we're wrapping it up here. So we are Seen It Before. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok with the handle at Seen It Beforecast. That's SCENE, It Beforecast. And on Twitter with the handle SIB_pod. Yeah, I'm Dan.
I'm Danny. You can find me on Instagram at Danny_Was, my letterboxd at DJ Was, or my YouTube channel, which is just Danny Was. And Paul, would you like to plug anything?
Roar.
Nice.
Because I'm wearing a lion t-shirt.
His best lion roar. Yeah. But thank you, Paul, for coming on. This is a very in-depth, intellectual look into The Lion King. I don't know, intellectual. That was a strange word for me to put there, 'cause that was.
You're the first guest that's actually beaten me at note taking.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
We've done with Movie Drunks probably over 100 episodes at this point total.
So you broke the record.
you took a beat. Yeah. Oh man, I love this movie so much. I love this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been an honor, everyone. So until next time. Yeah.
Stay cool.
No, not that. We're not doing that. Yeah. Till next time. Stay cool.